I feel like if I told you I hated She-Hulk, then half the internet is going to hate me. But I also feel like if I told you I loved She-Hulk, then the other half of the internet is still gonna hate me. So I guess I'll just be honest. What's up, everybody? Your friendly neighborhood Tony here, and I just finished watching the 9th and final episode of She-Hulk, at least for season 1. And I gotta keep it real, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this one. So I guess what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll start with before I watched the first episode and kind of guide you through my feelings all throughout the show. And for now, we'll try to stay positive. So if you think back a few weeks before She-Hulk even came on the air, there was a large portion of the internet that was hating it. And this was before anybody had seen anything about it. And to be clear, I was not one of those people. Now, if you've seen all of my trailer reactions, which I doubt you have, but some of them I am pretty negative on when it comes to new movies or new shows that are coming out. But I feel like the reason why I am negative about certain shows or movies is because I look at who's making them and what their track record is. So, for example, if you have a movie that's being written and directed by someone who has never written or directed anything good ever, the chances are whatever they're making now is probably not gonna be the best. But in the case of She-Hulk, that was not the case. The creative team behind She-Hulk is actually very successful and has done a lot of really good shows throughout the years. So that's why I gave it the benefit of the doubt going into the series. Now, of course, you could say it is also a Marvel show, and the Marvel shows have been kinda hit and miss. But regardless of that, I was giving it the benefit of the doubt. And for the first couple episodes, I think I was right. The first 2, maybe 3 episodes, probably 2 now that I think about it, of She-Hulk were, in my opinion, pretty good. It was taking the concept and the trope of what we've seen before with the Incredible Hulk and kind of showing us a new and interesting story around it. And for what it's worth, I do like Tatiana Maslany as Jen Walters / She-Hulk. I think she's a really good actress, and I think she brought a lot to this role. In addition to that, I really like a lot of the cast. Now that I think about it, a lot of them were really well casted, and I feel like they did the best they could with the role and with the scripts that they were given. I would also be remiss to not mention all of the great cameos that we got throughout the entire show. Now, I don't want to spoil anything, I'll try not to, but there were a number of really great characters that we've seen from a lot of the movies that were then brought into the show, and I think really all of them were fantastic. But unfortunately, that's kind of where all of my positive feelings end. I liked the way it opened. For the most part, there was a few things in the first couple episodes that kind of turned me off a bit, but overall, I like the concept, I like the actress in the lead, as well as a lot of the surrounding cast, and I like how it expanded the Marvel Universe. But then, after those first couple episodes, it started to go wrong. As I'm sure you know, She-Hulk is a legal comedy drama. I think that's what I would categorize it as. Legal comedy drama with a superhero. However, I feel like in all those categories, it really came up short in every single one. Whether you think about a legal show, there were a few moments that were spent in courthouses or going over legal proceedings, but the show never really dived deeply into that. And of course, as a superhero show, we saw a couple of fight scenes and a couple of very minor villains, but again, they never really delved into that deeply or showed us too much of that. Then when it comes to the drama side of things, yeah, there were some dramatic moments. There was a lot about She-Hulk, or I guess I should say Jen, coming to terms with being She-Hulk, and also dealing with a lot of the tribulations that she faced as a woman in a predominantly male field, whether that's the legal field or the superhero field. So we did get a bit of drama there, but even that was kind of light. And then, don't even get me started on the comedy. This show was just simply not that funny. It had a few moments, don't get me wrong. Over the entirety of the series, there were a handful of genuine laugh out loud moments. But man, over 9 episodes, if you really just have a handful of moments that I'm gonna remember as being particularly funny, that's rough. And since we're on the things that I didn't really care for about this show, I'm really not sure what the point of this series was. They had a few story arcs that they started down the path of, but they never really did anything with them. And then at the very end of the series, they just basically tell you none of that matters. For one, very early on in the show, there appears to be someone who is trying to get Jen's and by proxy the Hulk's blood, and they kind of follow that thread, but again, at the end of the show, it doesn't matter. So is the show about that? Is it about villains trying to weaponize the Hulk? No, I don't think so. Okay. Is the show about Jen coming to terms with her powers and with both sides of her personality? Not really. She kind of tells you right from the jump that she doesn't have a problem with being She-Hulk and being Jen. And although she does come into a few roadblocks, or a few speed bumps, I should say, at the end of the show, she's pretty much exactly where she started. And truly, at the beginning of the show, she's kind of just a jerk. Like, she's really rude and inconsiderate. And so you think, okay, maybe the show is about her kind of becoming a better person. Maybe it's about her not being so arrogant. No, still the same Jen in episode 9 as she was in episode 1 as regards that. So then I start to ask, is the show really just about what it talked about in almost every episode, which is dunking on these dudes on the internet that are talking crap about She-Hulk? Kind of. When you really think about it, that was the most consistent thread throughout the entire series. Honestly, I just don't get it. Again, I do like all of the actors and actresses that were in the show, but they're just poorly written and uninteresting and very shallow, as far as, not shallow as far as like, oh, they're only into shallow things, but like they're just shallowly written. They're two-dimensional characters. And then towards the end of the series, they actually joke about, if you don't know about She-Hulk, she breaks the fourth wall a lot, and they joke about how poorly written the show has been. They talk about different tropes. They talk about the ending being a mess. And okay, that's funny. I like that she's breaking the fourth wall and that she's also recognizing how kind of bad some of this has been, but then they don't offer any resolutions for it, any solutions. So it's like, okay, cool. You're breaking the fourth wall and you're telling me, you're joking with me about how crap this whole concept is, but that is the concept. You made the show and you're not fixing it or making it better. You're just saying, wasn't that bad? All right, bye. Honestly, the two things that I am going to take away from this series, maybe three things, but two things primarily, is one, it felt like they had an idea that would maybe last a couple episodes and they just stretched that bad boy out. There's so much in the middle that just doesn't matter and is completely uninteresting. You really have maybe the first 2 episodes and then maybe the last 2, but really the last 1.5, and that's the entire story right there. And yet this whole show is 9 episodes, which makes me wonder, did they purposely make it 9 episodes so that we would have to pay for 1 extra month of Disney Plus? I don't know, just a thought. But in addition to that, in addition to just the show feeling really stretched out and really thin, the only takeaway here, when you think about what was the main conflict, who was the main villain, it's the internet. And not just the internet in the show, right? Because they address that in the show, but really the whole show is about talking crap about Marvel haters or female superhero haters on the internet, which of course it turned out there was a lot of, which I don't agree with, but it's a little odd that they were making those remarks, Marvel being they, in the production of the show for a show that wouldn't air for many, many months after the show was shot and written. So it's like they went into this knowing, oh, we are going to get crapped on, so we need to go at these people before they even came out with the show. It just feels like a mess. And I don't know what that says about me. I don't know if I'm just a hater or if it really just was not that good of a show. But I have to be honest, I watched every single episode. I almost gave up in the middle, but then someone told me to jump back in at episode 8. And I'm glad I did, because episode 8 was a really good one. But then now, after watching the last episode of She-Hulk, I don't know. It felt like a big waste of time. But those are just my thoughts. I hate to be a Debbie Downer. Hopefully you enjoyed the show a lot more than I did. If you did, definitely let me know in the comments. I want to know what you thought, and if you liked it, why? What really stood out to you? Let's try to keep it civil. I don't want anybody arguing. I will delete comments and I will block you if you're a jerk. So at the end of the day, She-Hulk, at least season 1 so far, was not for me. Honestly, might be my least favorite Marvel series thus far. But thank you guys so much for watching the video. Also, I want to say thank you for subscribing. We just passed 500 subscribers on this channel, and that is absolutely incredible. So thank you to everyone who has watched these videos, commented, liked them, subscribed. Couldn't have done it without you. And if you want to see more TV and movie reviews, ranking videos, trailer reactions, recommendations, Blu-ray collection updates, be sure to subscribe. All right, I'll catch you in the next one. Be good.